We have an interview with Michel Anderson, who is a New York Islanders blogger for Eyes on Isles. Welcome to the show, Michel.
Thanks for having me, boys. I look forward to this chat. Been listening for a bit, so being on is kind of cool.
Awesome. Glad to hear that. So before we get to the questions we have for you today, the first one has to be about the reverse retros the Islanders just released with Adidas. It's gotten its fair share of backlash. How do you take them?
Sorry, I just woke up. Did you talk about the reverse retro? Because they immediately put me to sleep. The Islanders reverse retro is so boring. Oh my God. Hey guys, guess what? We made it darker blue. Huh? Come on, man. Like, I get that the Islanders as an organization are apprehensive to significant change when it comes to the jersey. Man, I can't pronounce the word. Because of the whole fisherman thing. I get that. But at a certain point, we're talking about a fourth jersey that they might wear 3 times over a regular season, which might not even be the case this year. We might even see 50 games. Like, how they might wear it once, and we can't have like a fisherman. And if not, fine. What about an anchor? What about a lighthouse? And anything, different colors. Even look at what the Kings did. They took the 90s logo with the 70s colors. Cool. That's awesome. Meanwhile, we went with a darker blue, guys, because we're trying to pay homage to the dynasty. Cool. You do that all the time.
I think personally they could have gone with their away jerseys and done something with the white, because first off, back then white was the home color. So I think they could have done something with that, and just like a color rush jersey like we see in the NFL, something like that where it's different. I do not agree with you with the fisherman because I just can't stand it. I think it makes me want to throw up on the site, but at the same time, though, you're completely right. They made it a darker blue, and they reversed the orange and white at the bottom. And you look at all the cool ones they created. A lot of them are really cool. The Colorado Avalanche one, I think, is at the top of most of our list with their Nordiques. Yep. That's awesome. The Wild one with the Minnesota North Stars, that's awesome as well. And then you look at the Islanders, and it's like you didn't change a thing, really. And fans are worrying about signing Barzal, clearing cap space. They needed to put a smile on their face, and instead they're crying.
Yeah, they didn't do something for the fans. Like the Rangers, Brendan, you're a Rangers fan, right?
Correct.
Seeing Lady Liberty on the crest, okay, maybe we weren't the best when we were wearing that, but it's still cool to have.
It's the token of the jersey. It's unique, which I was wondering, do the Islanders have a secondary logo?
No, not real. That's the thing. The biggest thing is the Islanders logo hasn't changed since they became a team. For other teams, they've had that alternate logo. The Islanders really had the fisherman, the blue and orange one with the stripes on the side, which is my favorite. They could have done a lighthouse thing. That would have been very, very cool.
Yeah, they could have gone that way, but they have the NY, right? That they used for
I didn't like that.
series.
I didn't like that at all. That was
which is still kind of they used a portion of the one they already have. So you're all right.
You think about the Rangers, right? They've had the same jersey, the same logo, but they have this Liberty alternate, which they can go to. And I think the Islanders need something like that, even if obviously this is a retro one, so they couldn't have made one, but they got to get a little more creative when it comes to maybe having a secondary
What they could
logo.
have done, and it's on my hat, I'll tweet it out later, is why not the island? Why not just have an island going down? Like the Rangers had Rangers going down, have the island, or have something in the middle and do an orange and blue thing with that. Just make not the whole Islanders logo, just make the island as the main logo and do something with that. But they really didn't help out Islander fans. But we'll move on. You are from Ottawa. How does a fan from Ottawa, hockey fan from Ottawa, become a New York Islanders fan?
So yeah, I am from Ottawa. I'm not originally from Long Island. I am born and raised in French Canadian Ottawa. I've only been to Long Island 6-7 times. Denny Potvin is from here, and specifically this portion of Ottawa. So Ottawa encompasses a bunch of small little townships, and this one here is called Vanier, which is right outside of downtown. And Denny Potvin and Jean Potvin are from here. We have a mural on our main street, which is actually called Montreal Road, because if you take it all the way straight, it leads you right to downtown Montreal. He's from here, and there's a mural there of him, Denny, and Jean, in not only their Ottawa 67s gear, but in full New York Islanders gear. And so growing up, my grandma lived in Ottawa in my youth. And so whenever we'd walk by Montreal Road, you're like, what the heck is that thing? Right? Because we never got that here. We never really, especially as a young kid, you're not really attuned to what's going on outside of your own little bubble. Seeing that was going, I need to know more about that. And then when Ottawa came about as a hockey team, when I started getting more interested in following the NHL, I was like, I don't really want to be an Ottawa fan. Everyone's going to be an Ottawa fan here. Everyone's either a Montreal fan or a Toronto fan. And so, boom, I went with the Islanders because it was kind of weird. And Danny Potvin's from here.
That's a pretty awesome reason. That's probably the best reason you're going to get for not being a team fan of a team in Canada.
I mean, as a Rangers fan, I'm very familiar with Potvin's name every time they play. Your Potvin sucks. I mean, the guy was so good. Like, if you have a chant this long after you played still going on, that's how you know you're a pretty solid NHL player.
You did
I
something right.
love that Rangers fans have that chant. I know that it's our player, but that's the sign of a real rivalry. When they chant the player who hasn't played in 30, 40 years,
Yep.
still even if they're not playing, they chant his name. That's the sign of a real rivalry.
It's starting to vanish slowly as the generation, stops going and it's more younger, but you still hear it at least once a game. And I love it. I mean, people go, oh, you get he's in your head. No, it's a rivalry. So we're trying to chirp somebody that used to destroy the Rangers every time he played them. But for the Islanders right now, they're a team with a major cap issue as they try to re-sign Matt Barzal, who's an RFA. Once they clear up some cap space and lock him up, there are a few unrestricted free agents that could be re-signed. Would you rather see a guy like Derek Brassard come back or use somebody from within on the third line, such as a Wahlstrom or Bellows?
So they only have $3.905 million to sign, and anyone in their right mind knows that's not going to be enough for Matthew Barzal, even though he's only coming off his ELC. If they can clear up cap space, yeah, that'd be great. We can find something. I don't think they're going to find a lot. They can maybe move some pieces around, putting guys on LTIR or moving guys to the minors and clearing up $1 million and change for every move. Would I rather see Derek Brassard out there? No, I would not. I did not like after his 15-point flurry at the start of the season. After that, he just completely vanished. And Lou Lamoriello recognized that, right? He brought in Derek Brassard to be Valtteri Filppula 2.0. I'm going to get a guy from the bargain bin of UFA, put him on my third line, and he'll carry that line. Well, it didn't work, and he went, I'm not doing that again. I'm bringing in Jean-Gabriel Pajot, and I'm going to pay a lot to do so. So do I want to see Derek Brassard go back to that role? No, I don't. I would rather see an Oliver Wahlstrom. I don't think we're going to see Kiefer Bellows there. I think it's Oliver Wahlstrom first, although it could very well be Josh Hosang, right, who's on a pretty affordable deal and is looking to prove himself, although there's a whole bunch of background knowledge or background baggage going on there. But I could see the Islanders bringing back Derek Brassard. He's a veteran. He's been in the system, and that's usually enough for them.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say the same. I want to see the young guys play, especially with, Wahlstrom and Bellows and all the hype they get. So you mentioned that you think Wahlstrom's a much better fit right now. What about Wahlstrom's game puts him above Bellows on the depth chart?
He's a finisher. He's a clear, clinical finisher. He's a bigger body too, and he doesn't necessarily use it, but he's learning to use it, which is important. And it's not to say that Bellows can't do that. It's just Bellows isn't dominant in one particular area, right? He has a good shot for sure. He has a pretty good shot even. He's just not as clinical as Oliver Wahlstrom is and can be. Wahlstrom still has some things to learn. His defensive game isn't great. But I think that's something that's going to plague Wahlstrom throughout his career. But I just see the ceiling is way higher for Wahlstrom than it is for Bellows, in my opinion.
I mean, I do agree with that, especially the way that Wahlstrom has looked so far when he's not been injured overseas. And I mean, Bellows, I remember watching him during that World Juniors tournament when he lit it up, and everyone was like, wow, this kid might be an elite finisher. And you haven't necessarily heard about that when he played in Bridgeport. So I think he might still need some seasoning, which is not a bad thing. Obviously, he's still a young kid and he's got a lot of potential. You've been doing a phenomenal job covering these prospects that are playing overseas. Who is the player that the Isles fans should be paying close attention to right now? And is it Wahlstrom?
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. It's a COVID kind of thing. So when COVID hit, I'm at home doing daddy daycare. Well, not really daddy daycare. It's daddy school. I have 2 kids under the age of 5. Yeah. And so they're doing schooling. So I'm sitting watching them doing school. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll follow some of the Isles prospects in Europe because they're playing. If you would have asked me this question 2 weeks ago, I would have said you need to keep your eye on Ruslan Iskhakov, who's playing out in Finland for TPS. But since then, he's been scratched twice, a healthy scratch twice, and then moved to the wing. So he's a centerman. he's small. He's like 5'8", 160, maybe 170, somewhere around there. So for NHL, that is small. It's probably like I maybe weigh 160 pounds all wet. So I'm not going to really throw him under the bus for that.
I got you beat, but continue.
So I would have said him, but he's not really lighting it up as we thought he would in Finland yet. That might turn around, but as it starts right now, his journey in the pro ranks isn't really working out as well as we thought. For me, it's Robin Salo right now, the defenseman playing in Sweden, who's also Finnish, but he's playing out for Örebro in Sweden, plays a ton of minutes, 21 minimum a night. He's now on a 3-game point streak. I think he's got 4 points over his last 3 games. He's just an absolute workhorse. 22 years old. He's at the end of his contract this year in Sweden, so he's probably going to be in North America. Depending on when 2021 or 2021 starts, he could be here this year, right? Like they're finished their regular season in March. We're not probably going to start till January, if that. So he could be here this year, depending on how things go. I would look out for him. I would say Wahlstrom, but he's still hurt, and we don't know when he's going to be coming back. The team has told me about a week ago, and that was already a 2-week delay. So we're not really sure where he is in terms of return to the ice.
I'm going to try to pronounce his name, but Ljungcrantz, Lundkrantz, whatever his name is. I think it's Lundkrantz, right?
Ljungcrantz.
Ljungcrantz. Okay,
there you go.
Ljungcrantz. Should Islander fans be getting used to pronouncing his name?
Yeah, sure. Like, I think we have to take what he's doing with a grain of salt. He is a 3rd-round pick, which is still high, but not super high. He's doing well, right? I think it's 15 points in 16 games. That last game he played was a barn burner in so much that there were like 101 penalty minutes given off. It was wild, absolutely wild. He's going to play well for the U20 side. And that's where he's at now, putting up almost a point per game. He's going to play well at that level, and he's going to move up to the SHL. He's already played average of like 2 minutes a night, literally, this year in a couple of games. So next year, he's going to be at the SHL level for sure. He's going to be a project. I'm not going to say he's going to be here next year, and we should really get super excited about him. He's going to be a gem. He could very well be, but I think we need to temper our expectations with him and just say, like, he's developing well so far in the short time that he's been under our umbrella. Let's see where it goes. So far, so good.
Let's move on to Joshua Hosang is back with the Islanders after, the team didn't want him. They outsourced him to an AHL team last year. There was rumors that he was going to the KHL. He files for arbitration to Lamoriello's. Very confused on that, but he does. They settle. They get a deal done. He's back with the team. What are your expectations for him, and can he help this Islanders club this season?
He could if he gets a chance, right? Like, we know what he can do. He's at worst a 40-point player in the NHL over a full 82-game season, which is good, right? Like, anyone will sign up for that. He could be even better than that. Every time he touches the puck, people are impressed and get out of their seats. Does he create turnovers? Yes, absolutely. His defensive game isn't great, but we said that about Oliver Wahlstrom at the beginning of the show as well, right? Like, he's got some deficiencies to his game, as everyone else in the league, right? Look at Matthew Barzal. Does he give the puck away a lot? Heck yeah. But that's what happens with puck carriers, right? Like, Brendan, you'd probably say the same thing about Artemi Panarin. Does he give the puck away a lot? Sure. But look how he puts it in the net, right?
Like, he masks it.
Yeah, well, when you play with the puck more often than other people, you're going to give it away more.
It's a wild concept, right? Like, that's just what happens. Now, does that mean like we should absolutely get him first line minutes? No, of course not. Is he going to play at the NHL level? I would say not, which is why he filed for arbitration, right? Like, he filed because if he signed his qualifying offer, he was going to get like $70,000 payout at the AHL level.
Yep.
As we know now, that's not what he's getting. What is it? It's $240, I think it is, at the AHL level, which is a significant raise for him. If he performs, he'll earn that, and he can. Like, what we've seen him turn it on at the AHL level and just absolutely dominate, like torch it, right? Like 10 points in 3 games type of thing. Just on fire. He does not belong there when he is focused. If he can do that, if this deal allows him to do that, he could be a huge contributor for Bridgeport and at the NHL level, assuming they let him do so.